Hey you, I'm the Queen of Shade. Welcome to the interview. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit my Cash App to support your favorite content creator. Now let's get to the interview. Mwah.
Let me tell you something. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too.
Salutations, Dufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. Moving full speed ahead, we are talking to amazing people, interesting people, intelligent people. And having said that, I have someone that you probably know, but I'm going to reintroduce to you right now. This person is an author. They have a book out right now. It is called A Life of Lust, Memoirs of the Porn Star. I also know this person to be a photographer. I know this person to be an actor. I know this person to be a director. I know this person to do a lot of things. So we're going to introduce them and let them tell us what else they do. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Kevyn Mines.
Hello.
Hello, baby.
How are you?
I'm getting it together because
can I just say I miss you?
I miss you too. We haven't been okay. From the back, Kevyn is from my city.
Yes.
Yeah, we're both from Philadelphia, and we've been in close quarters with each other. We've hugged, we've spoken, we've done all of that. So
there's been moments when I needed some encouragement, and I remember there were times where you was like, all right, you got this, you good, and like you encouraged me and you helped me out so much. So a full circle moment to see where both of us are in our careers is just amazing.
Isn't this crazy?
Yes.
Oh my God,
yes.
how did we get here?
Because we worked our butts off.
Yeah, we did. We worked our asses off. I said you can.
I can say it.
Yeah. You can
because
say
I just censored myself. Yes.
Yeah. We did, and it's so funny because I remember starting the Queen of Shade and being still in my grandmother's church hats and not all of this yet. And I remember going downtown to Outfest in October and seeing you because we both. I remember the first time I saw you. And I was like, and get it, it wasn't actually then. I'm gonna say this, but that wasn't actually the first time then. That was the first time I saw you at Outfest. And we were both at the drag stage. We were watching the drag performance.
Yes.
And then you saw me and I saw you and you ran over and you hugged me and it just was so much love. And you were one of those people where you left an impression on my soul, baby. You left an impression on my soul. When I say on my soul, like you are such a wonderful human being.
Thank you.
I want people to understand that. I want people to get that. I want people to see that. But that wasn't the first time that I actually laid eyes on you.
The first time.
Get this. The first time I laid eyes on you, I was making headway back in 2008 on YouTube as doing my covers. And what happened was you were dating someone at that time, and Bally's, 15th Street, you were in there. And literally, he came over and spoke to me because he recognized me from YouTube. But you were kind of standoffish. You had your braids, and I thought you were so beautiful. Don't worry, baby. Don't worry. Tell him that's what a life in entertainment will do, honey. I got wigs, baby. I'll let you put on one of my short ones.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's what it'll do. They don't know. That's what it'll do, especially when you're someone like you and I, where we do a lot of the production so that we can, we take care of a lot of the cost so that we can reap a larger cut. And they don't understand that. But yeah, the first time was in Bally's and you were so standoffish and I loved it about you.
Can I say something about that though? Because I come off as standoffish a lot. I am a personality on social media in the public, but I'm really shy.
Yeah.
I am extremely shy. So my standoffishness is more so just me being shy.
Right.
And not knowing how to approach people. I could be awkward sometimes. So I'd rather not say anything and make myself look awkward. But at the same time, it's like once I build that connection, you ain't getting rid of me.
Right. I haven't been able to get rid of you. We've had each other's numbers in the phone forever.
Yes.
But what I loved about it is I can see it in my mind's eye how you looked. It wasn't like I don't want to talk to you. It
Mm.
was shy, like, because this is the
Yeah.
thing. And I knew it. I said, "Ooh, this boy." Because when you got up off the machine and I was standing there and the other gentleman was speaking to me, you looked at me and then you looked down at the floor. And I said,
Sounds about
like,
right.
yeah, I was like,
Yes.
But yeah, we've kept in touch and
Yes.
you've done so much. There's been moves. You've moved New York, Philly. You've been places.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yes, Atlanta. Oh, we'll talk about that because I didn't know you moved to Atlanta. But
Yeah, we could talk about it.
yeah, just real quick. It ain't nothing here. We're not a blip, just a blip. But like, you've been active for so many years now. And that's why I was like, I need to talk to Kevyn. Because like I remember you used to throw, parties. But it was only like a birthday party. It was a birthday party.
Well, okay, so
Theme was
way back, yes, the purple party.
Yes, it was the purple.
Yes, that was a long time ago though.
Okay.
So after that, I've thrown like the occasional holiday party, different theme parties, mostly like Halloween parties because I like to dress up.
Okay.
And then the other alter ego of mine, he threw his little parties too.
Right.
But I'm glad that you mentioned the purple party because it kind of like shows that I'm on a whole different platform with how I interact with the public.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just say this. You've always been that way. You've always wanted to bring a distinction.
Yes.
It has always been your endeavor to bring a distinction. Yes. I don't know if you've been watching my platform. I don't know, but I've been interviewing a lot of the adult stars that work in, Max Connor and all these others, because what my mission is to humanize them. I want people to not just see the brand or see the work, because it's all good work. We all loved it.
Yeah.
But I want them to understand that this person is a real person with real feelings. Max opened up he opened up a lot on my platform, and he talked about crying and, token and, the price of being the only one. And, and it just was a lot. And, so I know that. So let's start off immediately with your book. So obviously, you're separating yourself from a lot, but still writing about it. Put it up in the camera. Come on, put it up in the camera. Yes.
I want you guys to see that.
Life of Lust. Where can we get it?
www.kevynm.com.
Now tell them how to spell Kevyn, because it's different.
Yes, KEVYNM.com.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So what inspired you? Let's go right there. Let's say right there. What inspired you to write the book after so many years?
So a lot of my life, I've been quiet. I am shy. I don't like confrontations. And people always had an opinion of who I was as Kevyn, who I am as Venom.
Yeah.
And sometimes my silence allowed other people to control my narrative, to control my story. And I've always been the type of person, I'd rather, even if it's an ugly story, even if I'm telling on myself, I'd rather be the one who tells my story and be held accountable to my words and my story than to let someone else tell that story. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, there are people who have followed me, who supported me and loved me throughout my entire career, and they've only gotten a glimpse into who I really am. All of the talk shows, all of the performances, all of the videos, those are literally just a small glimpse as to who I am as a person. From being shot, contracting HIV, being ostracized by church members and family, of church hurt, like all of those things I went through. And not to get preachy, but I believe that we go through our tests so that we have a testimony to help someone else out. And if I don't tell my story, those people who are waiting to hear these things will never overcome.
Right. You're absolutely right. Because when I decided to open my mouth, this happened.
Exactly. So there are people who are just standing by waiting for a Queen of Shade to pop up. There are people who are standing by waiting for a Kevyn M to happen. To realize that they're not alone, to realize that they could do more than what the world told them that they could do. Yes,
that is super important. So with the book, because that's a catchy title, A Life of Lust.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how you came to that title and what it encompasses, because I want to know, do you look at that lifestyle as just being a lustful lifestyle, or?
No, so I was trying to be catchy with the title
It was
initially.
good. It was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Part of my narrative has always been, well, Venom used to be a preacher, but then he
Uh-huh.
became a porn star, and it's always been played against each other because it's
Right.
like, okay, spirituality, sexuality,
Right.
two different. Um, there's the scripture that talks about the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh,
Yeah.
and I wanted to tell people, or at least show people, that my life was actually influenced from a very young age with a lot of sexuality, even though I didn't even realize I was gay until 18, 19.
Yeah.
But like from a little child, different influences. So it is a life of lust, because all of those things kind of like brought me into who I am today, to be as secure with my sexuality as I am.
Yeah. That's a good thing though, because one thing that in my career, I am extremely proud of. Like you said, I control my own narrative,
Exactly.
but not just my narrative. I am living, breathing Episcopal proof
Yes.
that God loves gay, lesbian, trans, bi,
Yes.
pan
Yes.
people. Like that's the thing. Like I've had so many people try to attack me in times past. They wouldn't dare think of doing it now,
Oh no.
and that's good. But my message is I don't because I grew up in the church too. I had a lot of church hurt too. But
Mhm.
I would always say, when they come at me or when they would say to me, oh, well, God says this is wrong and God says that is wrong. And I'm like, why is he blessing me? Why am I preparing to live in another country? Why am I preparing to be so happy and live all of my dreams? Why am I saving people's lives with what comes out of my mouth? And you
Oh,
guys are sitting on a pew praying every single day, destroying people's souls and then repenting at 6 o'clock every night.
yo, that part. And it's like, that was a realization that I came to early on. It was a little tumultuous when I came to the realization,
Yeah.
because it was like my life happened fast at like 19.
Yeah.
Realizing that I was gay,
Yeah.
exploring my sexuality, coming out to my mom.
Yeah.
Not long after that, contracting HIV, doing porn. Like there was everything happened so fast, and I was still like trying to figure out my spirituality, let alone my
Yeah.
sexuality. So I'm like, God, if this is wrong, take it away from me now. You didn't use me to sing to people, preach to people,
Yeah.
prophesy, praise dance, play the instruments, do this and counsel. If you're so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and what who I am and what I'm doing is so wrong, please speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized in that moment that he was using me just as I was.
Yep.
A friend of mine he's a playwright, and he did a play called The Perfects. And I'm not going to tell the story, but the premise is your imperfections make you perfect for the mission.
Yep. Ooh. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
agree with that.
yeah, so it was like, yeah, I had to go through those things. And again, I don't know why I had to go through it all between the ages of 18 and 23. Because let me tell you,
Yeah. You
what
got
I
hit
lived,
hard like I did. I got hit hard too
yeah,
early.
it was so much all at one. It seemed all at one time. But
Yeah.
now looking back, now that I'm in my 30s, I ain't gonna say what part of my 30s, but now that I'm in my 30s, looking back, I'm like, I'm so grateful,
Yeah.
because the testimony, the story, I guess at this point, a million people have heard me say this, that God ordained for me to do porn.
Yeah. And guess what? You touched so many people's lives and it brought you to me.
Exactly. And I'm
It
so
brought you to
grateful.
me.
That's why I'm grateful. That's why I'm so grateful,
It
because
brought you to me.
people like you.
Yeah, it brought you to me. And
Mhm.
my thing is, and my thing is, I will be oh God, in August the 9th of this year, I will celebrate 10 years of celibacy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation I want to have
I
with you.
know.
I want to know, because
We'll get to it.
okay.
We'll get to it.
I need you to be on my show now.
All right, see? Yeah, so 10 years of celibacy. And the reason I did that, listen, was not because I felt like I needed to cleanse myself for God to use me. It wasn't that I felt like I was out of the ark of safety. It wasn't any of those things. What happened was I needed to use, because I'm a very sexual creature, I needed to use my sexual energy in something that we call transmutation, where you take the power and you take the energy of one place and you place it into something else.
Yes.
So what I did was, when I launched this, I said, okay, I need to be serious about this. And I took all of that energy and put it into my career and built this platform. And my thing is like, because even my grandmother's a devout Christian, and she even says to me, you'll find someone. But I'm like, I just don't want to go off on that tangent, but I'm not looking for even, and that's what I want people to think. I want people to realize just because I'm sitting here polished doesn't mean that I'm morale.
And
I
just
want them to
because
understand that.
but wait, and just because you guys see me on camera butterball naked, don't mean I don't have morals.
Right. You know, like basically what we are both saying, read the book, talking about us. Read the book and his. Read the book, because you cannot make a judgment based on what you see or hear.
Exactly.
You cannot do that. So without spoiling the book a little bit, tell us, and I'm gonna do this because you talked about your youth and things like that. I want to know about just a little. I don't want to, because this is the thing, and I told you, and I'm going to repeat it here, because I told you when we were talking about this, and you said, well, what are your talking points? I said, listen, they're going to come to me as we speak, but I made you a promise. I said, I protect my guest.
Yes,
I don't play that.
But I trust
I'm not about to do, no, I'm not about this. This ain't no rope-a-dope. So I just want to touch very briefly on, and my thing is this, I'll share and then you share. I knew from an early age that I was homosexual. I also knew from an early age that I was a cross-dresser. This is nothing new. I've been doing this since I was about 8 years old. So, but I knew that I was into guys in kindergarten. I remember, yes, I knew, because literally, and that's what people need to understand. It's the way you're wired. This is science.
Yes.
It's science.
Yes.
This is not a spirit. This is not a devil. This is not a demon. This is a science. Just like BMW is wired different from a Mercedes.
Yes, absolutely.
We are wired differently.
Absolutely.
So, yes. So I knew. So I'm curious. Had you ever had an experience where you looked at a guy and said, and this is the thing, not even really said, but just kind of looked at him and said, you know, I'm looking at him a little longer than I should be?
So I could, if we had the time, give you several stories. I wish I was as aware as you were at that age, because earlier in my little introduction to everything, I said I wasn't aware until I was 18 or 19. But in retrospect, I was a gay little boy. I was a gay little boy.
Really?
Excuse me. Like when I was in elementary school and that one male teacher came in and all the girls was giggling and I'm giggling with them.
Yeah.
Wanted to be, here's a great story. There was this girl in my class who had a younger brother that went to the school. Yeah. And for some reason during recess, he wasn't allowed to go play around. Excuse me, I need to drink some water.
Go ahead, get you some water.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let me grab mine too, pal.
So he wasn't allowed to play in recess. They had these little boxes like painted on the ground. So during recess, instead of me going around playing with the guys or the girls, I sat there in the box with him, and he put his head on my lap, and I just caressed his head the entire time because he was sad.
Really?
That was so innocent that I wouldn't want to call it gay, but I had an affection towards him that wanted to take care of him. And I had to be all of like 8 or 9.
I want to know. Okay, that gives, I want to know. What did the other children do when they saw you do this, or even the teachers?
So none of the teachers really said anything to me, but I was already picked on because I was brought up in church. So I was already out to them. I was already queer. I was already odd. Yeah. So that was just another thing on the bucket. I was a rough kid. So I was rough with the guys, but I also enjoyed playing rope with the girls.
Right.
So I guess without knowing it, I was bisexual because I was attracted.
I was going to say there's a duality there. There's a duality there.
Yeah. So I was attracted to the women or the girls, females, but I looked at guys, but I guess because of the way I was brought up in church and
Yeah.
because of some of the teasing, I just shunned that part of myself. And
Yeah.
again, I wish that I was aware at that age because I think a lot of the things I experienced in that crash course, I would have already had a little practice with.
Yeah. No, that is very interesting. Um, let's go to church real quick.
Okay.
So, like I said, I knew from a little boy, kindergarten. At 10 years old, I entered the Kojic lifestyle,
Mhm.
Pentecostal Kojic. The pastor was amazing. A lot of people always say to me, where did you get your carriage?
Mhm.
Because, you remind us of Diane Carroll or, one of the divas,
Mhm.
and they don't know that my carriage came from my pastor. She was a very elegant woman. She's
Mhm.
gone, but her name was Irene A. Oakley. And yes, it was BM Oakley Memorial Temple.
Yes, yes,
I'm
I'm familiar.
advised, okay?
I'm familiar. I don't know
Okay,
any church kid
okay.
probably don't know what BM Oakley is.
Yes, so yeah, you knew we were known for our singers,
Yes, yes.
So I listened to her on Sundays. And the crazy thing about it was I cross-dressed, but I wasn't really into this yet. But women always caught me with their mannerisms and their
Mhm.
behaviors. I
Mhm.
learned my carriage from two women, three. My grandmother first, my pastor Oakley second, and my assistant pastor, Maria Gardner Langston. And I watched these women because these women were in a position that the church thought men should be in.
That
You
is
see how
very
they go?
true.
Okay.
That is very true.
So
Yes.
they had to be and they had to walk and they had to carry themselves a certain way. They were
Mhm.
all very strong women. And that is where I get my carriage today, because even
Yes.
in the way that I speak, Mother Oakley is what we called her. When it was time to offer tithes and offering, we would get in line and we would sing, the song, bringing into the storehouse, there was
Mhm.
different songs. But what she would do was she would get up on the pulpit in the back, and she had a huge Bible and a mirror so she could see behind her the congregation,
Mhm.
and she would read from that Bible. And she would say, bring into the storehouse and I'll pour you out a blessing that you won't have room to receive. And
Mhm.
even though we were in church, her elegance, I was in love with her elegance. And being a Zionette at that time, because that was our youth choir, like a
Mhm.
small baby choir. And then we had a youth choir, but the Zionette stand was right next to the pulpit. So I could see her every Sunday.
Yeah.
And she was in Aries. This is actually her season. Her birthday was yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, isn't this weird?
Yes.
So she and Maria Gardner Langston had this. When she introduced her, she had her own introduction. She would say, I bring to some and present to others one that said yes to the Lord. She talked about that, none other than our Pastor Irene. They did this every Sunday.
Mhm.
So it was an elegant thing for me. It was even royal. It was very
Mhm.
regal and very
Yes.
royal.
Yes.
So now, fast forwarding to about 11, 12,
Mhm.
I start to show my femininity is showing. So grown men bullied me in church, picked on me in church. I had an out of town evangelist with a Jerry curl. It wasn't even a Jerry curl, it was a pressing curl, child. I wish I could find him today because I would read him for a film. You
Yes.
up here with a pressing curl, honey. You got a whole Tony Braxton going on the top of your and he, and he threw me and my uncle on the altar and said, you need the masculinity of God. And it was a mess. So early on, I learned to hate myself. But get this, I hated myself externally.
Mm,
there was still a little inner sanctuary where I hid and
mhm.
had my resolve and knew what I was to be. And this is another thing, because I don't know if you've seen, but I got a couple of gifts now. They've
Yeah.
in the last 5 years they've become really strong: prophet, oracle, shaman, and seer and healer.
Mhm.
And that comes from and stems from what Mother Oakley and bishops always said to me. I have
Mhm.
a dunamis anointing in my life.
Wow.
But that's what it makes sense with
Yeah.
with what I do. Now,
Yes.
for those of people, because we're talking church, so for those of you that are watching and don't know what a dunamis anointing is, it's
Very
an
strong.
yes, it's an anointing of might,
Yes.
miracles, and extreme intensity. That's why I'm able to go and go and go and go and create in 6 years 22,000 60-second videos. That's how I'm able to do what I'm doing. So I bring that up because, I grow up. I mean, I take the church hurt, I grow up. I get to college and I'm interested in men, but yet, I know you will understand this. I'm interested in men. By
Mhm.
college, I have already experimented with one or two men, but it's still not a reality to me. It's
Yes.
still not a reality. Now, mind you, and I want them to know this. I'm acting out. I'm being sexual, but I'm still not
Fully
aware.
aware. Aware. Yep.
You know. So it wasn't until
Oh.
yeah, it wasn't until 2005 in Paris when, like we said, that I call God the divine. So the divine said to me, "Go to the park," and he took me to the park, and he says to me, "You're gay, right?" So God outed me to me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started hysterically screaming and crying. I scared everybody in the park. I did, hysterical. And
Wow.
the funny thing was I could do that because I was a stranger in a strange land.
Yeah.
I could let go there. And I did.
Yes.
And I'll never forget getting up. I got myself together, standing up because I didn't give a hell. Nobody knew me. So, this was a sunny day. Nobody knew me.
Mhm.
I was able to go do that. So, like you said, it had to happen. It had to
Yes.
happen. It was
Yes.
ordained to happen that way. So I said to God, I said to him, I said, what am I going to do? He said, we'll deal with it. That was 2005. It's 2022. I talk to the divine about a lot of things, about a lot of people. I'm working all the time and I'm always in connection. We have never had a conversation about that ever again.
Wow.
And I realized that I was created to be exactly who I am.
You are exactly.
And I say this because I'm now segueing into you. Those of us that have that affinity to be able to see another man like him, and for you, women like him, to do both, we
Mhm.
are extremely gifted. The reason why I'm saying this is because I took a course
Mhm.
and they said this to me, and it opened my eyes. Usually, the best preachers, the best bishops, the best evangelists and prophets are gay in the church.
Yes.
They make the best.
Mhm.
They hear from God. They are the sincerest.
So there's so much I want to say because you touched
Say it
on
all.
so much.
Say it all. We got time. Say it all.
All right. So back to, although like outwardly you weren't accepting of yourself, you knew like deep down within, like you were good, you had your own sanctuary. It was the opposite for me.
Yeah.
Which I tell people, I think that stemmed from church, honestly. Couple of scriptures that said that your righteousness is as filthy rags, for all of sin and fall short of the glory of God.
Yeah.
And then at this one church I went to, everything was, it's better to marry than to burn.
Woof.
Oh, so now I'm like, in my adolescent immature mind, I'm putting together these words that I'm hearing constantly, week after week, sometimes multiple times a week.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like my value was almost nothing,
Yeah.
or the most I would ever be worth was the person that I was attached to.
Oh, yeah.
So I became a serial dater.
Yeah.
I would get in one relationship, and literally weeks after that one dissolves, I'll jump in another one. And for the first decade of my adult life,
Right.
I never gave myself the opportunity to even develop who I was as a person, let alone love who I was as a person.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I said I would love to have had that awareness way earlier.
Yeah.
But that's also a part of this journey that we're on, you know.
Yeah.
I want to remember my thought, because what you just ended with like some of the best. Oh yeah, I know what it is. But some of the best ministers, pastors, preachers are gay.
Oh,
And I remember before I even realized I was gay, I was self-righteous.
yeah.
I would like family members, anybody that came in contact with school, like, because I was a preacher, so I had to preach to
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
go in the highways and the byways, spreading the gospel. Like, that's what
Yeah.
was on my mind. And if you didn't agree with my message, then you were a sinner that was going to hell, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
But I had no lived experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to that thing I said about the perfects.
Yeah.
Those who have gone through the most, who've endured the hardest trials, have the most impactful testimonies.
Yep.
It's like, and you're strong, because like all the things that you went through and people said you couldn't do, you couldn't be, you would never achieve, and you fought through it. Because look, giving up is not an option.
Nope.
So I'm going to either be stagnant or I'm going to grow. And if I'm stagnant, you might as well put me in a box, because that means I'm not learning or growing anymore.
Yep.
So as I continue to grow and learn, I realized that yes, being a porn star, being gay, having HIV, being shy. There's a whole story in the book about my father that I'm not going to give away, but that
Right.
relationship, the relationship with my mom, all of those things helped to build me to be who I am today. So yeah, I'm Venom.
Yeah.
That's something I wear on my side, because I put the work in.
Yeah.
But I now know the value of who I am through what I went through and what I survived.
Yeah.
I tell this story. Here's another story I tell.
Yeah.
When I first released this book,
Yeah.
I wrote a note to everyone who bought the first 100 copies. I hand wrote a note to each person.
Right.
And then I sat down. This is my proof book.
Yeah.
Like when they sent me the proof. And I'm looking at this book after I wrote hundreds of notes to other people. And I looked at it and said, I didn't write nothing to myself.
I was waiting for that.
So I wrote, you really can't see much, but I wrote a little note to myself.
Yeah, I see it.
And to sum it up, it's like, look what you did.
Yeah.
Look what you accomplished.
Yeah.
You didn't even think you'd be able to do it. So remember, on those days when you're feeling low, you're like the world seems dark and gloomy and you don't see your way out. Remember what that Ty Tribbett song said: if he did it before, he can do it again.
Do it again.
And the same is true with you, because God lives on the inside. So if he could bring you through, or if you can accomplish, and I'm talking to you personally,
yeah,
this and all of the things that you've created over the past 6 years, if you can do all of that in those low moments, just remind yourself. That's what that note is for me. It's a reminder that you can, you will, you move mountains, you speak to nations.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, so I'm a painter. When you was going down the list of things I do, a painter, photographer, writer, actor, director, all that good stuff, right? But
don't forget producer.
Oh yeah, well, clearly a producer. Yeah. That's a big part of everything that I do.
Yeah.
So with all of that, I had to come to realize, because sometimes people don't understand the art, or people, again, they try to discourage you. And I had to realize, like, my art's for me.
Yeah.
When I paint, it's because there's something that inspired me. When I wrote the book, that was when people say it's therapy, that is an understatement.
Yeah.
There were things that I was writing about that brought tears to my eyes, as if it had just happened, but it also brought healing with it. So ultimately, I wrote the book for me.
Yeah.
I paint my paintings for me. I do photography when I'm being really creative. That's all for me. And I shared it with the world. And it speaks to those who needs to hear it.
Yep.
And that's how this artist creates.
You know what's so crazy? This is exactly the same in my life. All of this is for me.
Yes.
It's extremely cathartic.
Yes.
My psychiatrist 15 years ago suggested that I do this.
Wow.
That's why I do what I do. It was a form of therapy.
Yep.
And yeah.
It helps you get in contact with yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So like I get people who come to me now, say they want to write a book, don't know where to start. Talk to yourself. I have this quote that I came up with some time ago. You know how people say you're crazy if you talk to yourself, and people are like, no, you're not crazy if you talk to yourself. You're crazy if you answer yourself. I said, no, you're not crazy if you answer yourself. You're crazy if you ignore yourself.
Oh, I like that.
Because everything that you need is on the inside of you, really. All the answers is kind of like things external just confirm what's on the inside.
Yeah.
So I think the lesson in that with the therapy with our art is listen to your heart, listen to your spirit, because God speaks to you in those places. We're looking for the preacher. Again, those things are just confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
what's
should
already
know first. Yeah.
Exactly. So the things that's been laid out in front of you, and a lot of times we really don't need the confirmation. That's just God nudge you, like I've told you already, get to it.
Yeah.
But like you already know, you're already equipped to do it. All you gotta do is put pen to paper.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely and completely 100% agree. And that's the thing, like people don't understand that when you've been through something, you are the closest to God that you will ever be.
Yes.
If you look in the Bible, all the listen, anybody listen, Mary was
make me preach.
Listen, Mary was an immaculate conception. She was chosen. Do you know why she, of course, preacher, you know why she was chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, because God said he would send, he loved David. Remember the psalmist David?
Yes.
He loved David so much that he said he was going to send Jesus 42 generations through the lineage of David, because he said David was a man after his own heart.
Yep.
Guess who Joseph was?
Yep.
The descendant of David. So chick, you got chosen not because you were some immaculate conception, sorry Catholics, not because you were some perfect special person. You were chosen because you were to marry the offspring through the lineage of David, who was next. And get
There's
this.
so much in that.
I know it's so much in that, but get this. The reason why I said that is she was chosen. Do we hear anything about her struggle? She births him, and then we hear no more.
Mm-hmm.
No more. We only hear about the struggles of the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the upbringing of Jesus. Mm-hmm. We only hear that. God, listen, you know this. God don't want, and I said don't, like slang.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
God don't want no perfect person.
Not at all.
Let me tell you something. I speak from experience. I was very devout. I didn't care. I used to get so mad because I would be like, we need to change churches because these people ain't living what I set up in my kitchen and read at night. Okay, while I was supposed to be studying, I'm in there reading the Bible cover to cover while God is speaking to me. And I'm like, we're going to do this book, each and every single word, every comma, every period. And I'm like, we got to change church because this ain't. So I'm doing all of that.
Wow.
And God, I realized God will take, if he loves you, he will take you. He will pick you up. You're his most prized possession. And he will smash you. Mm-hmm. I want people to get it just like that, into a million pieces.
But why?
Because have you ever, let's use glass.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen glass when the light hits it?
Mm-hmm.
So many different colors, prisms, shapes, sizes.
Yes.
And then what you can do with that glass is build different things. You can make more with the pieces of glass than you could have done with the vase, the vase, which was intact.
So I have another concept or theory. It was just a picture that I created on Photoshop
Uh-huh.
of a heart, and it had like fractures in it, and through the fractures of that heart, you could see like light shining through it.
I think I've
And
seen this. Didn't you put this
and
out before?
yes, and
Okay.
the quote that I put with it is, "You never know what you're made of until you're broken."
Yep.
The Bible says, "Blessed, broken, and given." I can't be
Yep.
given until I'm broken. In other words, there's something like I can give you a gift and put it in the prettiest package ever, but you will never be able to use that gift until you open it up.
Yep. Yep.
And a lot of times, what God does is, again, He'll smash it
Yep.
because it's a little too pretty right now. But
Yep.
that ribbon, it looks nice, but I can't use it.
I can't use it. I can't use it.
I can't use it. And I found myself multiple times, because I don't want people to get the impression that you're only going to have a wilderness experience once in your life.
Right.
Keep living. And
Keep living.
so I just had this moment in my life and career. And when I say just had, I mean like a week ago,
Okay.
where I started to feel like, why? Why am I doing this?
Mhm.
I feel undervalued, underrepresented, overlooked, like I'm blackballed, and I'm putting out all this stuff. And it's like, I don't see the fruit of my labor.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I'm about to put my head down and just disappear. Don't put out no more videos, no more books, no photos, no paintings, nothing, no more social media, just disappear. And then again, I had to be reminded that of my why.
Yeah.
Why am I doing it? And
Yeah.
like I hear people say it all the time, but like it was in the, like I spoke to my publicist and like I spoke to my team, and they were supportive of whatever decision I made, but they all also said, you got work to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to be fulfilled if you just sit and do nothing.
No. No.
And again, it takes me back to my why did I write that book? One, I wrote it for my therapy, and two, I wrote it because it's going to help somebody else out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever had something that you needed to get out and it just bothered you. You dreamt about it. You thought about it throughout the waking day. Like you just sitting here talking to close people and you like just trying to get it out so bad without actually doing it. You got to get it out. So
Yeah.
you sometimes you got to break the lid so
Yeah.
that you could use what's on the inside of you.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm so glad that you understand that, because even with my brand, there was a lot of frustration, lack of funding at times, lack of resources at times, there was a lot of that. And I was forced to, and then people bothering me, tampering, things like that. And I used to get mad. I used to say to the divine, why are you letting this happen? If you said I was supposed to do this, why so much interference? And then my grandmother and I were talking about it, and she said, baby, but look at what you know now. You are able to wear so many different hats in your business. I'm not one of these artists out here that can't keep their own books. I got QuickBooks on my computer. I send the trial balance to my accountant. I do those things.
Yes.
Then I'll turn around, I take my pictures. Then I turn around and I do my graphics, or for any promotion that you see, I do those things. And it's really crazy because in entertainment, you have boardrooms full of people, and every single job that we do, there's one person in that boardroom that's assigned that, being paid.
That one specific. Yes.
Yeah, being paid 6 figures to do it.
Yes.
And it's just like, and get it. God had to get me out of the money frame of mind. It's not the money. The money will come. He always yells at me because I go there with him. He's like, the money will come. It's the knowledge that you need and the experience.
I have another little bit of a testimony. So you said how you saw me at Outfest. There was a very specific reason why I was at Outfest. I was doing HIV prevention research recruitment with the University of Pennsylvania. So for the past 8 years, I have worked in HIV research.
Yes.
I've worked with University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University back and forth between the two.
Ivy League. Hear this, people.
I've almost a decade now. I've only worked with Ivy League universities.
Yep.
Now, and I'm not ashamed to say I have a GED.
Yeah, I feel you.
Period.
Gotta put you there. Wait a minute, I'm about to jump up. You about to make me shout. I'm like, wait a minute, baby. I gotta put you there. Don't do that now.
So, I mean, I guess if there was a theme to this conversation, it would really be how God qualifies the call and doesn't call the qualified. Because there are people who have masters and doctors and the name of the game is elevation.
Yep.
because like I said, I worked back and forth. So I started at Penn, then I went to Columbia, then I went back to Penn, and I'm looking at the opportunity to go back to Columbia.
Yeah.
And every time, not only was there a pay raise, but there was more responsibility. And people are like, oh, I don't want to do all the work. But the things that I've learned,
Yeah.
the people that I've encountered, and the doors that have been open because I remain open
Yeah.
and moldable to learn and to grow. It's like I don't think most people would even realize, unless I said it, that I only have a GED. There is
Right.
no college. I dropped out of school.
I dropped
and
out.
went
I
back.
had to be withdrawn. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went back to get my GED. But like those experiences in life, the bad times, the hard times, the good times,
Yeah.
all of those things always work together
Yeah.
for our good.
Yeah.
So
You don't get good without them.
you don't. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. You don't.
Yeah, you don't get good without them. Like like if you want to really be really amazing, it's kind of funny too, because I was talking to my producer because I recently saw you in the studio about to do something. I was very excited. You had Insane P. You were in
So funny.
Yeah, you were in Insane P's studio, and I was like, oh, you get ready to bring something else out.
Actually, as soon as I leave, well, we're done. I'm running over there. So,
oh wow. Okay, so yeah, this is a serious project. That's right. This is a serious project. So like, yeah, like you're right. It's the qualified. Like I'm standing on platforms and being invited to do things, and I didn't finish college. I was medically withdrawn because of mental illness. I had to go to the hospital and got it together. And get this, a degree is 4 years. Master's, 2 more, 6 years. I have had over 20 years of experience. So take a person with 6 years versus 20 years of on the job training,
lived experience.
They are not about to hire you. I'm keeping my position.
Yes, yes.
I'm keeping my position.
And you just get better with time. The longer you do it, that's why those hard times are so important, because you learn to navigate in ways that a piece of paper will not give you.
Yeah, yeah. And the best of us, it's so funny too, because we're in this dispensation of time where entrepreneurship is the way to go. And I've never taken a business course, and my mind for business, you should see me off camera. I'm running shit. Like I'm running shit.
It's like I said earlier, everything is already in you. You already had the inspiration. You're creating the lane. Can't nobody give you a degree in your own lane. It's yours. You created it.
My grandmother says that all the time. You created your own lane. You created your own lane. So segue here very quickly, just for a second. Tell me what the color purple means to you, because you use it a lot. Favorite color.
So a word that you used earlier was duality. I think one of the first things is we know that purple is a mixture of red and blue, hot and cold. I didn't want to pick either of those colors. I want both of those colors.
Yeah.
Because I am high.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm very cool.
Yeah.
But we also know that purple is a very royal color.
Yes.
And anybody who's followed me know that I'm King Kevyn and I'm King Venom.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It's not a negotiation. Somebody hit me up on an app and was like, "What's your name?" And I said, "I go by King Kevyn." So, so you gave yourself a nickname? I said, "It's not really a name. It's more so a title."
Yeah.
It's the way I carry myself.
Yeah.
It's the way I treat people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, it's popular because everyone wants to be called King. No.
Yeah.
It kind of, I'm not going to lie, it does put a little chip on my shoulder sometimes when people approach me and say, "Hey, King." They don't even say Kevin or Venom. They just say, "Hey, King."
Yeah. And
people see that royal priesthood. So part of me carries that, like I'm looking over because I have a couch sitting here that's purple.
Yeah.
I put things around, and I believe in chakras and things like that. And all the different colors align with different chakras. So I'm holding on to certain things. Like I like to dress my room up with certain colors, or dress myself up with different colors to help influence certain energies.
Yeah.
So that's me. I am King Kevyn, and I'm going to wear that.
I love it when people call me Queen. I love it. I love it. It's because you know that you're royal by your own hand.
Yes.
Nobody put you there. You fought for it. Bloody.
That's the thing that gets me, because I know what I went through to get here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how privy the outside world is to my personal struggles.
They're not.
But for them to not experience those things, but still can attest and affirm the royalty that's within me means so much.
Yeah.
It's like I no longer live for validation,
Yeah.
but it always feels good when someone can see you for who you are.
See you for who you are. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So tell us, like I said, you're getting ready to run over to the studio. What you're working on? Tell us about it.
So I don't like to prematurely talk about stuff unless I have
I
enough of
know.
it
So
under the
I know
bag.
you're not going to do that.
But
So
but
don't
but
do
I'll
that.
say this because I think Insane Pete kind of put me on the spot because he posted one of the pictures to say like, oh, I'm working. So I have a show myself called The Cocktail Hour with Kevyn,
Right.
King Kevyn, every Tuesday night. And we were working on literally just intro music for that. But while we were sitting there working on that intro, we were thinking about like words just started to come to us. And like, yeah, so I don't know that I am actually putting out any music per se. Like I'm gonna work on it. Let's just say that we're working to see how that develops.
You know what's so funny? I started doing jingles.
That's all. You know what? I could probably do that.
Yeah, you could. And
Yeah.
but get it, I hadn't had any music out. I went and got like I was given snippets of a beat. And I was writing for a certain person whom his team wanted me to write for him. He probably isn't aware that I was doing it, but I was in touch with a celebrity's team who he's a famous media personality, but I won't say his name because he probably doesn't even know his team was
Right.
getting, acquiring me. So turn around and I was doing jingles and I went into the studio and my producer was just like, you're doing jingles, you singing, why don't you just sing a song? Why don't you just go a little further? And I said, okay. 4 albums later.
Right.
4 albums later. That's so crazy. I love how you stated that what you do is for you, because I have this belief, and it has to do with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a pyramid, and in this pyramid, it has layers to it. There's money, there's family, love, and then at the very, very top of this pyramid is a small space, small triangle, and in there is self-actualization, knowing yourself, seeing yourself, being yourself as you actually are. And what a lot of people don't realize about the homosexual, lesbian, transgender experience, bisexual experience, pansexual, you gotta say them all, experience, is that because the world persecutes us so much about our identity, we are forced to get in touch with who we really are. So many of us skip the pyramid and go straight to self-actualization. And self-actualization is something that most people in life, in study, they tell you they never achieve. They get all this other stuff and they stay down here. They never get to the self-actualization. But I find in our communities, the LGBTQIAP plus community, it's where we start because it's all we have. Doors are being slammed, opportunities are being taken, things are being launched to literally snatch our rights to be human. So we are forced to kind of, like you said, go inside and find and build that solace. And it's so funny because I do not go outside of myself for anything. I don't. I always look inside first, and I always pull on my resources first.
That's awesome. Now that's a lesson I need to learn to, like, because there's plenty of times I'm being mindful. I do my best to live with intent and on purpose. But there are times I need this reminder that you just gave me, like, go, like, again, I said it multiple times in this conversation already. It's all the answers are right there, but sometimes we do get distracted. And that's why it's also good to seclude yourself, turn off the social, especially social media, because it'll have you thinking that you ain't did nothing when you accomplish mountains.
Right.
So like, sometimes it's good to just say, you know what, social media, and I have my moments. You won't see me on social media for weeks at a time sometimes now. But yeah, the self-actualization and realization of who I am and continuing to build upon it at this point. That's what's important.
Yeah, I find that the best of us learn who we are. We know what we're capable of
Mhm.
and what we're not. And like you said, when you are fully self-actualized, you can tell, you control your narrative. I told
Yep,
I told my whole story.
exactly.
I told my whole story. I have a podcast. I have my music does it. I do it here. Like I tell my story because no one is in control of me. And
Exactly.
I even learned that even being in entertainment, the industry, because the divine was saying to me, no, you're like you said earlier, you're going to create your own road. And I'm like, oh no, I just want to follow this one because it's already made. And he's like, that's not the road for you. And he's like,
And it's funny. It's funny because when we try to follow, it doesn't work.
it doesn't work.
The only time I've ever really been successful is when I was doing what I was supposed to do in my own lane.
Yeah.
I've done acting before. I think one of the most successful things I've done in acting is when I created my own web series.
Yep.
And I told the stories that I wanted to tell, and they were
Yeah.
impactful, and they reached the people that needed to see it.
Yeah.
Over millions of views
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the most success a person is going to experience and find is when they look inside and pull out the creativity and listen to their heart and their mind
Yeah.
all together. Like they I know people say they conflict, but they actually do work together.
And they work together.
So I have this other quote. I'm full of quotes.
I love it. Mhm.
I like to say that your passion is your vehicle to life.
It is.
Like if you want to get through life, it's going to be whatever your passions are. Like for me, my passion, I have 3 E's: to entertain, educate, and empower.
Yeah.
That's my passion.
Yeah.
Your God-given gifts and abilities are the wheels to that vehicle.
Yeah.
So through singing, acting, writing, performing, however I'm performing, creating my art, those are the tools that I'm using to make this passion move forward. And then love and intention are the fuel to push those things.
Yeah.
And that's really how I live my life. And I need those reminders from time to time. But I'm always like saying, I'm always telling people, like that's how you get through life, with your passion, your gifts, intent, and love.
Yeah. I really, yeah. You know what's so funny? Even as I talk to you, like I hear a lot of motivational speaking. Like
Yeah.
I hear that you need to be doing that too, because you need to be telling your story, you
Yes.
know? Do you plan to do any book tours?
So actually, I like I said, I have a publicist. We've been
Yeah.
talking a lot.
Amazing publicist, mind you. Shout out to your publicist for
Yeah, shout
getting
out to
back to
Chris.
me so quick, Chris. He was like, I love you. I'm like, I love you.
Shout out to my entire team:
Yeah.
Stony, Devontae, Chris.
Yeah.
These guys, they keep me honest
Yeah.
and they keep me working. So
Yeah.
so shout out to them. But yeah, it's actually something that between like other more interviews with the book, traveling a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
And I, I haven't done it full time or officially yet, but that's where I want to break through. Honestly, I really want to break through to motivational speaking.
Yeah.
I'm not a preacher, as it were, as in
Yeah.
terms of being in the pulpit, but my ministry didn't stop there.
Exactly.
A lot of people think, oh, God's going to bring you back to the pulpit. Well, He
Mm-mm.
took me off the pulpit to go out to the streets
Yep.
and
And
to
attract a group of people that otherwise the church didn't want to deal with.
exactly. So there are people. That's why I said God ordained me to do porn, because I have a platform
Yeah.
now that I would have never had if I just stayed minister minds.
And we love you.
And I love you
Love
guys.
you. Yeah, we love
I
you
love it.
so much. We love you so much. And it's so crazy because I want to say something to you, you know, in all of the years that you thought you might have been shy and this and that, you always burned very bright among us. Like if you
Thank
understand
you.
what I'm saying, you always
Yes.
burned so bright among us. People noticed you, people knew you, people loved you. Like I literally have been in a room with people and they not know that I know you and they're fawning over you. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, he's so amazing. Da, 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 da.
Thank you.
Like I have heard it for myself in rooms.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
A lot of times and it's just being vulnerable. A lot of times I don't really get to feel the impact of my work or see, like I said, last week, I didn't see the fruit
yeah,
of my labor. It was like, I know I'm working. And honestly, I was going through some other personal trials with people in my life during that time. And it was like, I only want to help. I'm only trying to give what's inside of me. And I'm being made a villain, or I'm just like downplayed, like none of my work. But these moments remind me that my work is not in vain, that everything that I'm doing actually does matter, and it encourages me to continue to do what I'm doing.
Everything you are doing does matter, because homosexuality ain't gonna stop with you and me. We got to leave the map. We got to leave a map for all the babies that's coming up underneath us, so
Exactly,
they don't have the
exactly.
same obstacles, because we got to figure this out. It is the duty for the generation before us to have done it for us, and they did in their own
Yeah.
way. And now
Yes.
it's our duty as we move. I'll be 40 in September. It's our duty to start laying jewels for these kids,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're next, and that's what people don't understand. Like, we have a responsibility to these babies
Yes.
just as much as we
Yes.
had a responsibility to ourselves, you
I,
know?
I don't mean to preach so much, but I think about Moses. Actually, no, I'm gonna switch over to Jonah, because this is a message to someone. People think that the whale swallowed Jonah as a punishment
Mm-mm.
for not obeying. That whale was given so that way during this moment of isolation, he
Yeah,
could be prepared and to transport him from where he was to where he needed to be.
yeah, I agree.
And so it's like these things that we go through, these things that we experience, these are just our vehicles to get from point A to point B.
But what I love is the fact that the divine uses uncanny vehicles. You just proved it again.
Yep,
Uncanny vehicles.
exactly.
You're inside the belly of a whale. Let me tell you something. He was safer in the whale than he was on the ship.
Right. And the thing is, like God told, and let's talk about why he ended up there. Because God told him to go and give the word to Nineveh. And he's like, well, those people don't deserve it.
Yeah.
They're heathens, they're monsters. I'm not going there. And
Yeah.
I didn't ask you what you thought about them.
Yeah.
I told you to give them this message.
Yeah.
And until he was in a place that he was willing to be obedient, he would stay in that space of the belly.
Yeah.
But when he knew that it was time to say what needs to be said, he didn't have to say to the well, okay, I'm ready. The well knew.
Yeah.
And he threw him up right where he needed to be,
Yeah.
when he needed to be there.
But you know what's so funny? That's what I love about the divine, because we're all like that. We all get like that. And it's like, okay. And that's what these people don't want to admit. God is very patient and very understanding. He's not like man.
No,
He's not ready to throw us apart and throw us away and tear us up and go to hell and all of that. I tell people all the time, God made me gay. And baby, I may not be on the side of heaven where the Christians are, but God has a place, for me there.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yes.
And honestly, to be honest, if I want to be true to my word and to my Bible that I really don't even read anymore, but that I have never forgotten, it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not our intention to stay in heaven. There's supposed to be a new heaven and a new earth. We're supposed to come back to a cleansed planet by fire.
Talk about the Bible again. So yeah, the Bible says that heaven is God's throne and earth is his footstool.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you're telling me, and God never created heaven for us. Let's talk about that part. Yeah, so like you're telling me that we're going to die and ascend into into his throne. No, we're here to worship at his feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I could
really... And furthermore, we're gonna stay at his feet.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm not.
So, it's like everybody wants to be grand. Everybody wants to be more than what they are. And it's like, no, you were created for a purpose. And you will do that purpose. And after this earth is cleansed by fire, this is where we'll be.
Exactly. And I also think, just metaphorically speaking, we're experiencing the best of heaven and the worst of hell right here, right now.
I was going to say heaven and hell is with us right now. We live it every day.
Yes. Yep.
We live it every day.
And the fun part to me is we get to choose which life we want to experience. Yeah. Oh, it could be hell, or it could be, and I'm not saying that you're not going to experience hardships in your heaven experience, but when you know that you're living in your heaven experience, there's so much more peace, there's calm. Even when trouble comes, you're able to navigate it so much better than if you choose to live a life of hell.
But let me take you a little step further. You need both to survive. You need duality. You need heaven and hell.
Duality.
That's the way God does everything.
Yep.
For every up, there is a down. For every black, there is a white. For every crooked, there is a straight. It's just the way he
Absolutely.
works. See, that's the thing. Like, instead of people trying to answer for him, study him, observe him, and see what he's
Yes.
already done.
Mhm.
You know, it's just very, it's so funny. And I'm glad we're speaking this way because, they get to see, like, yeah, we know our Bibles. Yeah, just because we are
And
gay and whatever, we know
yeah,
our
so
Bibles.
earlier I was talking about the duality again, about the
Yeah.
spirituality and the sexuality. And I think the real revelation that I've come to realize is they're one and the same.
Oh,
You can't have part of me. I can't separate myself and just give you my spirituality or just give you my sexuality. I'm a holistic being
the whole thing, in its entirety.
in its entirety. So that also means the good with the bad.
Yep.
That means the up with the down. This the duality. And like people say, well, it needs to be black or white, and there's no gray. No, there's so much gray in
There's so
between.
much gray. My therapist taught me that this whole planet is a gray planet. The whole planet.
The whole thing is gray.
It's all gray.
And with a little bit of black and white outlines here and there.
Yeah, but the thing is, in gray, get this, God did that because in gray, look at all the amazing things that can happen. All the amazing people that pop up and do so much tremendous service for the planet and for people.
Yes.
Out of love. And like, that's the thing. If it were black and white, me being born in the projects, I would have stayed there. There would have been a cap. I wouldn't have been allowed out. But the fact that I could go and move to the suburbs and then continue up my higher education in the ladder, like, imagine if it was, no, this is where you were born and this is where you stay.
It's so sad how many people don't understand that, and they feel like they're stuck. That's why we're the light. Yeah. That's why we go throughout the world and we share our light to that person. That they'll get on social media and they'll hear our message to realize, like, there's more to life than the situation that you're in right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just live through it, learn what you need to learn, and grow through that. And then you'll start to see the beauty in what this life has to offer.
But you know what? Not enough people ask themselves, what am I supposed to learn from this? They're too busy going, it hurts. When
you were talking earlier, and a lot of times we look at, like, why is this happening to me? And we've heard it before. Maybe just consider for a moment that it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me.
Yeah.
Because when we change our perspective, things look so different. Things that we thought was there to destroy. Here I go with my quotes again. A hurdle on a racetrack is not there to make a fool of you. It's not there to make you fall.
Right.
It's there to say, look, I've trained for this, and it's here to prove my strength and my skill. Yeah. If you change your perspective, you'll be able to overcome. But if you think, oh, this is here to embarrass me, everyone's going to laugh at me, I'm going to fall flat on my face, then what do you think you're going to experience? But when you know that you've trained for it, when you know that you're strong enough, you can leap high enough, that little hurdle ain't nothing to me.
Exactly. And you can do it over and over and over again. And it also weeds out the unqualified.
Yep. Yes, it does. And hopefully
there are levels to this.
Show you. Yeah, I said hopefully in that it will show you that everything ain't for everybody. So go find your lane.
Go find your lane.
Your own way.
Yep.
And watch how successful you'll be.
Right. I agree so much. This conversation was amazing.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your show, because you said to me, like, you got to come on my show. So now I got to come on your show. Tell me about your show.
You do. All right.
About your show.
So
what's it called?
It's called The Cocktail Hour with King Kevyn.
Okay.
Let's start there. I got tired of looking at the news.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
Between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
The pandemic. Republicans here, Democrats there.
Yeah.
The murders in the city. It's like there's so much depressing news on social media. I got tired of hearing about Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Yeah.
It's like, give me something good, or at least give me a break. Give me 1 hour where I can just talk to something like what we're doing right now. Just give me a moment where we can just have a good time.
Yeah.
I think about back in the day when I would go to a happy hour at a bar and everybody was having a good time, having drinks, whatever the sports game or news was on the TV. It didn't even matter because you was having such good conversation.
Right.
And like nothing else mattered in that moment. And what I wanted to do with the cocktail hour is give people primarily a moment away from this harsh reality.
Yeah.
And also what I've been doing is every episode of the show, I have a guest on. Yeah. So I get to bring someone else into my world, and hopefully they will invite me into theirs, so we can enjoy conversation and uplift each other. And maybe my followers can learn something about the people that I'm bringing on the show. So like there's a section, but there's moments where some of your followers are just meeting me for the first time, and some of my followers are just meeting you. So now we're going to crossbreed.
Right.
So that's what the cocktail hour is. Every Tuesday night, it's on YouTube
Yeah.
or my Facebook, but every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, we have a drink. It's called the cocktail hour. So we're having a drink. Don't think we're not. And I'm not talking about water.
I don't drink. I only drink water. I'm a singer.
That's fine. That's fine. So
we'll make them think it's vodka.
well, see, I always encourage people to do what's healthy for them.
Yeah.
So, like my guest last week was actually my publicist, and I think he had a Coke or Diet Coke or something like that.
Yeah.
Listen, like there's times I went to the bar and I got juice or water, and not because I wasn't drinking. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, it's a cocktail hour, so I have to have a cocktail. You can make yourself a mocktail.
Yeah.
Just cheers.
So do you do it in person, or is this over like the internet?
Both. It depends on where my guests are. Some people are in Philadelphia, so I might have to.
I'm in Philly, but I doubt I'm coming out. That's
okay,
why
so
I said it. I'm in Philly, but I doubt I'm coming out.
Yeah,
honey, my grandma. It's just me and Granny here after what happened 3 weeks ago. So it's just
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened?
I didn't. No.
Oh, my brother, he's schizophrenic and he was in the army. He got put out of the army. His father died. It triggered him and he tried to kill me and my grandmother. And yeah, it was bad, but we're healing.
You're here.
You're here. I had to end up fighting him. It was really bad. I was all bruised, bloodied and stuff, but
look at you, so beautiful.
Right. Whooping ass and taking names. But yeah, and I felt so bad because I'm like, I'm 40 years old fighting, but I was fighting for my life. He tried to kill me.
Yeah, no, that's important.
Yeah, so it's just me and my grandmother now and the cat. And I got all, and it's so funny because I have all like really fine heterosexual men that live around us. So they're all watching, like, you all right? You all right? Like, sorry we wasn't here when that happened. Like, it ain't gonna happen again, Yeah, so that's what's going on.
I'm happy that you guys survived that. And again, just keep that. You said it yourself. Like, why did this happen? What am I learning from this?
Yeah.
Sometimes the lessons aren't pretty lessons.
No,
honestly,
they're not.
Sometimes it's like it's
talking about it and sharing it.
Yeah.
And get this, I put that message out there on TikTok, and it was my first video to reach 20,000 views. It was the first one that people identified with, and it started a conversation in the comments about, yes, my brother's this, that, and the other. My sister's this, my son is this. And I made another video because they were thinking, oh, well, why are you putting this out there? I said, I put this out there because it's cathartic for me, but also,
yes.
Guess what? I'm mentally ill. But this is mental illness when you choose to take authority and responsibility for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is what it could have been.
That's why you're going to be on my show. I need to, because I personally don't live with any type of mental illness, but there are people in my family or friends who do, and I don't have sympathy for anybody, but empathy I do.
Yeah.
And with that, it's like I definitely will support a person who understands, like, this is where I am and I can manage this. I can control this. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's easy. It is a journey. It is definitely a journey. Finding the right combination of medication, the right therapist, in certain situations, psychologists.
Yeah.
Like finding what works for you. But I take my hat off to those people who are doing the work to figure out what's going to work best so I could be healthy.
Yeah, it's been 15 years of me getting treatment, and I'm doing so well.
And you're shining.
See, like a full moon shining, like in Diary, see, like a full moon.
Yes.
But yeah, my prayers are to my brother, because what was inevitable, the reason why I kept him here the entire year, I was trying to avoid what my visions were showing me. I saw him on the street, and I did not want him on the street. So I tried to stand in between the street and him, but God let me know, stop doing that, because you never know what the street is going to teach him.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
we have to have a conversation offline, because we will continue forever with this, because that's literally what I say all the time. I'm actually in a situation right this very moment where it's like, okay, am I going to continue to coddle this person, or am I going to let them bruise themselves a little bit so they can gain some muscle?
Yeah, sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
And it was difficult because I'm his older brother, but it was difficult. Yeah. I mean, the restraining orders for 3 years anyway. So it was serious. Yeah, it was really serious. It was very serious. My neck was, it was just, it was bad. But I'm still healing. My knees, everything, I'm still healing. But the lesson to him is that no one's going to tolerate your behavior out of, you know, your outlandish behavior.
Yeah,
B, there are consequences for your action. And C, go get some therapy because
exactly.
you're burning bridges, dude, and you don't have to.
That's the main thing. And this is relevant to all types of circumstances. It's not just about mental health. Some people
No.
have emotional distress
Yeah.
and they're living it day to day and they're like complaining about it, not realizing like there is help.
Yeah. There's
There is a way out of that mind space or that
yeah.
emotional space. Like you can honestly heal and grow.
You know what
But
I realized, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's fine.
I just wanted to interject. People don't want to do the work if they know it's going to hurt. So what I do immediately, even in my work, when I have mentees and I'm mentoring them privately in calls, I let them know you have trauma. This is going to hurt. But on the other side of the pain is your healing.
Exactly.
So I tell them right up front, there ain't going, they want the painless method. There is no painless method. You know, my brother bit me and he bit all the way down to the nerve and to the bone on this hand.
Oh, God.
And that hurt, but nothing hurt more than it trying to heal.
Yeah.
That was oh my God. And it's still
Wow.
giving me problems. And that was 3 weeks ago. And it's still,
Jeez.
but I'm amazed because I'm watching the body do its job while I do
Yes.
mine.
Exactly.
Things will take care of themselves. You just got to do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You know? So it was a lesson. It was a lesson. And what was so crazy was I felt like it was a final hurdle for me. I felt like that was what I needed to get rid of before I could say, like, because me and my grandmother, now we're at a point where we're like, our last baby, my nephew, our last baby turned 21 and moved out with his girlfriend. So now it's me and my granny, and now we're looking at each other like, oh, the move to Europe. Now it's just us two. We can do it. Like, you know? So like, I felt like it was like, even though it happened, I felt like it was like the obstacle in my way. And now it's gone because it also influenced the way that I handle people, because mental illness is a real thing. And I'm going to piggyback off of what you said, because it doesn't have to be mental illness. Trauma,
that's it.
Hurt, pain, real things, and they alter the behaviors of people. So it made me say, I don't want to be around nobody, anyone that is not taking care of themselves the way that they should emotionally.
Yes.
Emotionally do what you need to do. I can lend you support, but I can't do it for you. It can't be a codependent. It can't be a codependent situation.
That takes me to another point. Like, again, we can go forever, but I like to talk about capacity, because there comes a point where you realize that sometimes you don't have the capacity to carry another person. Now, you may have the capacity to be completely good and abundant, but you don't have that capacity. And like, maybe in the past you did.
I learned it.
Yeah. And like, it's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not over or even extend yourself, not just overextending, but it's okay to not even extend yourself if it's going to cause you to be in an unhealthy place.
Yup, that's what I learned. You took the lesson right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I learned. I learned that I do not have the capacity anymore. And that it was okay, because for a long time I had survivor's guilt. I was upset that all of my siblings, because they all have mental illnesses of different forms, and his is like really bad with schizophrenia. And it's like, I felt so bad because they hated me for a long time. I still don't talk to them. I'm estranged from them. But it was like, he was the one that I really like clung to, but his jealousy, he was jealous. Get this, he was jealous of the fact that I got help. Oh, it worked out for you. I'm still struggling. I'm still suffering. And I'm like, you're looking at this. You don't see the days. You didn't see the days when I was off camera crying and talking to our Nana, and, going to therapy and, getting the drug levels right and seeing my doctors and seeing my psychiatrist. And 15 years, dude, my grandmother sat outside of the building in 15 summers, 15 winters, 15 autumns, 15 springs for me to get what I have today. And that was just her contribution.
Right.
And that was monumental, you see? And then I had to go in there for 15 summers, 15 springs, 15 autumns, 15 winters. And literally, and that's one thing that my therapist, because I had therapy today, I still have it. She called me and she said that to me. She said, you never needed to warm up to me. You never needed to get to know your therapist. You just immediately jumped into what the problem was and started talking. And I said, because quite frankly, I'm not here to know you. I'm here to know me.
Know me. Yep. So, I think that's the signification of or the significance of a person who is ready for the change. They're ready, because some people, you got to pull it out them. You got to prod them. You got to try to bait them to opening up to themselves. But when a person is just fed up with the way life is going and that they know it's just something better, look, I'm looking for the answer. You got, I don't care who you married to, how many kids you got, what your degrees are. Right. You this the work you do? Let's get to it.
Yes, that's what it was. I had almost a decade of being in and out of hospitals. And it wasn't just being in and out of hospitals. I was ruining my career. Yeah. The thing I wanted more than anything. I was destroying it. And that I was burning bridges and losing people and destroying my opportunities. I should be in Paris right now. And I had to come back, get it together, and then I'm returning. It's like, like I was in my own way.
Good. You just stick the words out of my mouth. Like, another thing is I was hard on myself, and I tend to be sometimes, feeling like I could have been so much further along. I could have accomplished this and that I should have by now. But in his divinity, everything happens as it should. If I would have had some of these opportunities back then, I would not, I wouldn't be here today, honestly. And I would not have accomplished the things I had if they were given to me right then and there. I had to learn how to manage and to maintain those things that were meant for me.
You know what? I want to offer this to you. It's not about accomplishing more. You are accomplishing, and you are exactly where he wanted you to be. That's
exactly.
it. And we have to let go of, oh, well, I could have been, and oh, well, I should have been, because I did that too. I'm like, God, I'm 40 and I'm just now launching and my music, and I can't stand on stage with a 22-year-old Nas X and sing and do all of this. And God said to me, but I preserved your voice for 40 years. You sound like you're in your 20s. You look like you're in your 20s. What else?
Exactly. That's the part.
And that's the thing, because he gets me. So what are you saying? You don't want the experience? Because now it's behind you. And now you're using it every day to mentor people that you get paid for. And listen, they're not calling me for my music. They're calling me for my experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what they're calling me for.
Yes.
They're like, oh, well, when you get here, you can throw down a song or two, but we're calling you. Your greatness is what you live. We're calling you for your expertise. We're calling you for the work you've done on yourself. Yes. That's what they're calling me for. They're not calling me to be a pop star. They're not calling me for that. They're not calling me to be a supermodel. And I model. I do. But they're not calling me for that. Even when I step on the runway, it's look at this baby who came here at 22 and is back at 40, hasn't gained a shit of any weight, and is beautiful. Now got the wig on, now got the dress on, walking.
I got one better for you.
Distinguished.
I love that. One of the things that made me a little hesitant with my career where I am today is 8 years ago, I retired from porn. I was in my 20s. My body was a lot tighter. I had a full head of hair. and then I come back 8 years later. I'm like 30 pounds heavier than I was when I left. I'm bald head now.
We like it.
I'm closer to 40 than I am to 20.
Right, I feel you.
And it's like, I could easily try to disqualify myself. But as you just said, those experiences that I had qualifies me. Got to keep
Ooh,
reminding myself, like that's what it's about. It's about that. It's the experience that people need to hear. Now, but again, whether they're hearing it through song or hearing it through talk or seeing it through images or videos, they're getting that experience. And one thing I've always said and I've always heard, even back when, Venom, it's just something different about you.
yeah.
You're not like the other guys.
Mm.
I wasn't made like the other guys. I was built different.
Built differently. And I wanted to say something. That's why I said, ooh, when you said it qualified me. It not only qualified you, it quantified you.
Oh my, all right, I gotta go. I gotta go. Oh my God. We're gonna have to have our conversations again.
Yes, like, but look at this. Listen, you and I are in the best years of our lives.
Agreed.
It is just, and get it just started. It just
that
started.
no, that's why I said the qualified part, because
Yeah.
I thought that I was ready. I thought I had everything I needed
So
and it
did
was
I.
equipped. But now it's like, even though I'm older, that age and that experience has made me more ready.
Yep.
When I say ready, I mean prepared.
Yep.
For the work that's happening now.
Yep. Honey, listen, there's a reason I'm not running out to bars and clubs and things like that. Because not you see what I do. When I come, I'm coming to see the room. I'm coming to fix, heal, save. Like, nah, put shit back together. Broken hearts. I'm like,
yes.
It's so funny. And this is so funny because I said to the 19-year-old me, I did it on TikTok. I said, it was like a happy early 40th. I said, dear 19-year-old me, mental illness did not ruin your life as much as you thought it would. Wow. You fought, you survived, you conquered. Mm-hmm. Happy 40th, early 40th birthday.
Yes.
The pain was so great. It's all I talk about. That's why I want people to understand this life is going to hurt. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you, oh, well, it's going to be joyful and joyous. What I can offer you is, after you've gone through a series of tests and trials, there will come a time when you will have a rest bit.
Yes.
And you won't have to die to have it. Because contrary to popular belief, the divine does want to see us happy.
Well, and I want people, remember I said, change your perspective. We keep treating happiness as if it's something that is to be achieved, opposed to it being the co-pilot on this journey.
You got to take your happiness with you.
Exactly. I want to leave this quote, and last quote. I say, carry your happiness with you, and it's like having an umbrella. Okay. If it's raining outside, I can't stop life from happening. I can't stop the rain from falling, but I can stop myself from getting wet.
Yeah.
That's how you carry your happiness. I'm listening.
Do me a favor. Give me 3 words that inspire you and all of your social media so they can find you.
3 words that inspire me. My automatic go-to is my 3 E's.
Yes.
Entertain, educate, and empower. I'm inspired to do all 3 of those things.
Good. Now tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and I got to release you.
The easiest way to find me is to go to my website, kevynm.com, because at the bottom of the site, it gives you all of my social media. It doesn't give my Twitter, which I'll tell you guys what that is, because that's a little naughty. Okay. But
we love it.
My Instagram, my Facebook, all that stuff is King Kevyn, KYNG, and then on Twitter is King_Venom, VYNM. First is VENO, VYNM. But go to the website, because that's where you'll see my schedule. You'll get to order my book. I have a couple of copies of my documentary on DVD. If people still watch DVDs, I still have a couple copies of that left. You guys can interact with me, engage, and then go to my other social media platforms and interact with me there.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings of Mr. Kevyn Mines, King Kevyn. I had to let him go because he's really working. He got a publicist and everything. He got to go. Thank you for this time, darling. And I will see you soon. So did you enjoy? I hope you did. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget to cash at me at the Queen of Shade. I am your favorite content creator, right? Right. You want to see more of this content, right? Right. Cash at me. I love you. Mwah.
I've got my black stilettos on. Don't you make me take them off. I'm assuming first position. Gonna show you I'm a boss. I've been given 60 seconds just to